afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. We just came off a very solemn 90-minute ceremony where we recognized and honored all of the victims of COVID-19 and all their families. It was beautiful. I want to thank everybody who made that possible. And now, before starting with any introductions, I'd like to call on the official bagpiper of Woodbridge Township, Mr. Paul DeLeo, to play the national anthem, so please rise and uncover. Seated. I'd like to introduce the elected officials behind me here. To my left, your right, Council Vice President and Councilman at Large Brian Small, Council President and Councilwoman at Large Lizbeth DeJesus, our 19th District Assemblyman currently serving as the Assembly Speaker, Craig Coughlin, Councilman at Large Greg Ficarra, 1st Ward Councilwoman Nancy Drum, 5th Ward Councilwoman Debbie Meehan, and Councilman at Large Kyle Anderson. We also have in the House 2 members of the Board of Ed, Dan Harris and Brian Molnar. Thank you all for being out here today. I want to thank these young ladies up front here who have done a great job with this event as they did for the last event. It's an awful lot of work taking everything and putting it together so that we could just stand here and do it hopefully flawlessly because of the work they did. Megan Kushba, Assistant Communications Director, John Haggerty, Communications Director, Brianne Ludlow from our Recreation Department, and Geraldine Mazurik from the Mayor's Office. Yeah, Geraldine, isn't it? It is. It is Geraldine. Come on, man. Our first honoree today is a guy I can't even describe what he means to Woodbridge Township. Pat Kenny is the Director of our Office of Emergency Management, and when I say he worked the last 6 months probably as hard as he's ever worked. Pat was on the scene from the very instant this whole pandemic started. He's still on the scene. He is, how many hours? Don't even tell me how many hours you worked. Especially when it came to St. Joe's Nursing Home. Now, I don't know how many nursing homes there are in the state of New Jersey. There's only one that got emptied out and completely sanitized, and the patients were moved to another place where they were safe and then brought back there. That happened because of Senator Joe Vitale and Lori in his office and his diligence. It happened because of Assemblyman Craig Coughlin. They were the ones that got it done operationally or officially, but then operationally, Pat Kenny did an amazing job moving 82, something like that. 79, I'm off by a couple. You just corrected the mayor on national TV. I did ask them. So took 79 people from there. Now these are people that probably hadn't, been outside of the building. They haven't been outside of their rooms, many of them. They've been there for years and years and years. Suddenly they're put in a vehicle they've never been in before with people they've never seen before, taken to a place they've never been before. And it all happened seamlessly, and it all happened because of the leadership of Pat Kenny, the Director of Emergency Management, as well as overseeing the PPE and all the different groups that called that needed PPE. And he would arrange donations and he'd make trips personally. And I can't tell you what this man means to the township of Woodbridge and our success. So I'd like to thank Pat Kenny for everything he did during this pandemic. The second group of people who probably never thought they'd be working this hard was our health department. Our health director, Dennis Green, didn't expect this would happen in his term. He's a couple of years away from hanging it up and was thinking about riding off into the sunset. Well, 2020 came and he's not riding anywhere because of all the work he had to do every single day in touch with the state, every single day in touch with the county, in touch with federal emergency management people, and plus overseeing the effort in the health department, keeping us informed, keeping people informed. I get to be on the radio, not the radio, but the Code Red announcements every day, but it's Dennis and it's Phil Bajowski and it's the people of the health department that did all the work behind the scenes. So I'd like to just thank them now, the administration, Director Dennis Green, Shirley Genty, Sharon Oleschik, Joanne Dalu, Kim Austa, the Environmental Division, Phil Bajowski, Peter Barcelona, Valerie Marone, Anthony Ravino, Ashley Restaino, the Nursing Division, Mary Cerullo and Terry Green, the contact tracers. Now this was Dennis's idea. We took 3 nurses who weren't working all summer in the school system, actually hadn't been working since March, and we put them on as contact tracers, and the job they did is instrumental because in order to prevent more people from getting sick, you got to figure out where the people who were sick went, who they were in touch with, how much time they spent with them. It's a very Herculean task to do all that, and these men and women did it very, very well. Joanne Beebe, Lori Mito, and Marissa Pochio. Let's hear for the Woodbridge Township Department of Health. All right, back the way you came in. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Mayor. Thank you, Filbert. Dennis. The next department that works tirelessly every day for the Township of Woodbridge residents is our Public Works Department. You see them probably more than anyone else because you only see the police when you need them or when they're at something that you're at, but the Public Works Department touches your life every single day. I want to thank the custodians, the wastewater division, the sanitation division, the parks, the roads, equipment repair, engineering, and buildings and grounds. Thanks for keeping us safe during the quarantine. And there's over 200 of them, so I'm not mentioning them individually, and we don't have that much room on the stage, but George Brew is coming up on behalf. He's the Director of Public Works. Ladies and gentlemen, George Brew. Don't trip. All right, next up we have the Senior Transportation of Woodbridge, the STOW drivers. They delivered over 400 meals regularly to those in need throughout our community. They took people, even when things were very tense in March and April, they still managed to take people to doctors and still managed to get them where they needed to go. It's a service we added a couple years ago in our town, and it's been terrific, and people love it. I'd like to thank Diane Mantegas, Connie Naroda, Indira Beato, Karen Mady, Stacy Serafin, Jackie Jones, and Carolyn Castaldo. Come on up, ladies. I didn't mention John Scotia because he's out of town, but let's also hear for John Scotia, as well as these wonderful ladies. Good job. Diane? You're Diane? Hmm? Oh, yeah, I thought you were Diane. Where's Diane? Oh, Diane Mantegas, who runs this division, is out of town. Let's hear for the STOW drivers. Back that way. Next up, we have Woodbridge Channel's TV 35 staff, who worked tirelessly every day to ensure constituents were well informed. They had to film me every day, and that is not an easy job with the mistakes I make. I want to thank Lee Beckerman, Gina Forbes, Emil Brandafi, Joe Fernandez, Samantha Roth, and Erin Zerpolo for all your hard work. Let's hear it. Next up, we have our Division of Multi-Service Program on Aging. Since March, our division has helped numerous homebound senior citizens and residents during COVID-19. Our ability to offer assistance and comfort was accomplished with the support of the division co-workers, Allison Wisniewski, Julie Hackler, Jody Snyder, Michelle Despodo, Dawn Davis, and Melissa Krublit. Co-workers maintained contact with several hundred clients during this virus, and if you can imagine what a senior living in a home normally is always worried and scared, but during this virus, imagine how they felt. And to get constant calls from these ladies in the Division of Aging just was invaluable, and it really helped them. We made regular welfare calls, remote support counseling, coordinated grocery shopping, hot meal deliveries, food pantry distribution, prescription pickups, assisted with online census completion and navigating unemployment issues. Social workers worked remotely with laptop and cell phone in hand, never missing an opportunity to work on incoming referrals and connect with other support agencies. To resolve a host of challenges on behalf of clients and their families, they organized the delivery of 350 hot meals donated by local restaurants, 400 breakfasts and lunches, many grocery shopping trips, and food pantry deliveries. And they also, after a while, opened up our senior centers, 5 branches in Island, Evergreen, and Colonia, Sycamore, Port Reading, and Hickory and Forge. Those ladies also did a great job, and they're still there working. So when people want to get there in small crowds, they can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this group of people is fantastic. Let's hear for all the people in multi-service program and aging and our senior centers. Woodbridge Recreation Maintenance Staff. The Recreation Maintenance Staff worked around the clock taking care of the community center, the club at Woodbridge, Cypress Center, and the Woodbridge Artisan Guild. They were responsible for moving machinery, deep cleaning entire buildings, installing plexiglass, and much more. Thank you to them for making sure we return to the cleanest environment possible. The Woodbridge Recreation Maintenance Staff. Let's hear it. And I said custodians very quickly and as part of the group of Public Works, but they deserve a special mention because of what they did with our schools. Starting way back the second week of March, it became apparent that the schools had to be deep cleaned and sanitized, and this group of workers did an amazing job doing that. All the next several weeks and months, they kept doing it because no one ever knew when the kids were going to come back. They ultimately didn't, and they're still not, but that doesn't mean we don't keep the schools as clean as possible. So I want to give special consideration to our custodians. Woodbridge Library staff members. First in the county to return to work and reopen libraries to the public. Library staff members returned to work proudly, serving the recovery since July 6th. Library staff members who were nominated to be recognized for contributions above and beyond are Ford's, Henry Inman, Island, and Main Library staff for card processing during closure and recovery and curbside services. Main Library Digital Services staff, Librarian Lynn Bolmer, Library Assistant Taylor Volpe for managing 50 bins of mail and periodicals on return, librarian staff of the chat and email services who provided children, team, and adult programming staff who launched Zoom programs and grab-and-go activities, librarians Lauren Clemens, Kathy Rabideau, and the Main Library Technical Services staff, in addition to TV 35, which produced story times. Library staff members are grateful for the support for all the work done by first responders to keep our workers and community safe during the reopening. Ladies and gentlemen, our library staff, I know there's not many here, but Monica Eppinger, our director, and Derek Supp from the technical staff. Monica runs an amazing library system. Every time we advertise something on one of the calls, people just went out and flocked to the library for library cards and for checkouts of everything, so they did a tremendous job. Let's hear from Monica Eppinger and Derek Supp. Okay, wave. All right. This is, I think, one of the best ones. They're all great, but We Feed Woodbridge raised a total of $229,835.24. and countless pounds of food to support families in need, which increased when the lockdown began and people were put out of work. A big thank you to all residents, organizations, and corporations who donated, and a special thank you to the man behind me, Pete Barcelona, for coordinating and running the program. Without Peter, it would not be as successful as it is. Oh, down behind me, he's over there. This is the one that worried me the most, because we knew that when the pandemic hit, more people would need access to the food. We went from serving 600 families a month to over 1,100 families a month. And that meant that's life or death. And you have to have something to eat going to bed. Your kids have to have something to eat because of the work Peter did, because of all the donations that you gave monetarily and food. We had that in Woodbridge Township where many other places didn't. So thank you to Peter. A special thanks to some of the food pantries: Heaven's Helpers, Dolores Androvich and Gary Thomas; First Presbyterian Church of Avenel, Jake Stockel, Charlie Karowski, Nick Sammartino, Gary Stevenson, Denise Rick, and Al Knotts; First Presbyterian Church of Woodbridge, and Trinity Soup Kitchen. Thank you all. The Woodbridge Township Police Department, the best police department in the state of New Jersey. Director Bob Hubner, Deputy Director Joe Niski, Captain Scott Kuzma. They were under duress more than you can imagine, because no longer did somebody have to carry a gun or a knife to an interaction with a police officer. They could spit or cough and do just as much damage and danger of the officers. So our men and women in blue also did a tremendous job during this. They kept everybody safe. They comforted people and consoled people, and I can't tell you how proud we all are of the Woodbridge Police Department. The Woodbridge Township Ambulance and Rescue Squad, Chief Edward Barrett, we'd like to thank them. Our Woodbridge Fire Company number 1, Chief Mike Hapstag. Port Reading Fire Company number 1, Chief Kurt DeLibero. Caysbeek Fire Department, Chief Thomas Barry. Avenel Fire Department, Chief Iman Elbayar. Fords Fire Company number 1, Chief Adam Kazwick. Hope Lawn Engine Company number 1, Chief Nicholas Natoli. Island Fire Company number 1, Chief R.J. McPartlin. Island Chemical Hook and Ladder Company, Chief Ryan Malhero. Colonia Fire Department, Chief Vincent Pereira. Avenel Colonia First Aid Squad, Chief Robert M. Snowfield. Port Reading First Aid Squad, Chief Michael Barcelona. Colonia First Aid Squad, Squad Leader Kerry Shirley. And of course, the Woodbridge Township Citizen Emergency Response Team, CERT, the Mayor's Marines, and they are at everything every time we need them. They're amazingly trained, amazingly experienced, and Joe Formola, the CERT coordinator. Let's hear for all of our emergency responders in Woodbridge Township. And now we have several individual nominees for the Heroes Award. The council has divided them up. I'm going to take a break and let the council read their individual biographies.
Kurt DeLibero of Port Reading. Kurt is an EMT for Port Reading First Aid Squad and is also the fire chief. There were many days his family didn't see him because of him taking extra shifts. When his mom asked him if he was tired and why he was taking so many shifts, he responded, "This is what I signed up to do. This is why I became an EMT." Thank you, Kurt, for putting your life on the line and for all you serve. Thomas J. Carlin, Jr. of Island. Thomas is a first responder who worked tirelessly and went above and beyond during the corona pandemic. He worked his regular job as a 911 dispatcher at police headquarters. On his days off, he worked as an EMT for both Port Reading and Avenel squads. He is also a member of Island 9 Volunteer Fire. but put that on the back burner during the crisis due to the fact he felt being a 911 dispatcher and an EMT working to help those people took priority during this time. TJ, thank you for your selflessness and putting yourself above and beyond. Thank you, TJ.
Greg Schmidt of Ford's works for Woodbridge CERT. Greg volunteers his time to help our township event run smoothly. Thank you, Greg, for all you do for our town. Here he is. He was working back there.
Michael W. Carafa of Woodbridge is a volunteer firefighter with Woodbridge Fire Company Number 1. In addition to that, Michael is also a volunteer EMT with Woodbridge Township Ambulance and Rescue Squad. Thank you, Michael, for volunteering to help those around you. Thank you.
Ryan Wigstein. Ryan is a supervisor for Avenel Colonia First Aid Squad and an EMT with Port Reading. Ryan is a true hero. After contracting COVID-19, he returned to work and continued to put the health of others above his own. Ryan, your dedication to those you serve is commendable, and we all thank you.
Eileen Parks of Avenel is an emergency room nurse at Robert Wood Johnson Hospital in Rahway. Eileen has been a nurse for 41 years. Eileen, thank you for all of the care you've given to your patients over the years and that you continue to give until today. Thank you, Eileen.
Dr. Jacqueline Hernandez, Star Life Pediatrics in Hopeland, was the only pediatrician who was open during the pandemic. Thank you for keeping the children of our town and surrounding towns safe and putting their health above your own.
Nora Schiavo. Nora worked for Summit Medical Group as an RN in the gastro-surgical unit. According to her husband, she always puts her patients first and makes sure they have the best possible care. Thank you for being the ultimate patient advocate, Nora. And I also want to thank her husband, Tom, also Kathy Naroda, for baking a lot of stuff. We did a lot of deliveries when the seniors were shut in, and they enjoyed the treat so much, and there were so many people that came out to help to deliver to these seniors who were really scared and alone. So thank you to everybody that donated to help them.
Nora, I have a confession. I was a few times was delivering. I might have ate one of your cookies. I'm sorry. They were delicious. Leona Warner of Woodbridge is an X-ray technician at Staten Island University Hospital. Leona is a mom, a grandmom, and an X-ray technician for 28 years and always Woodbridge strong. Thank you, Leona, for continuing to put your patients first every single day.
Leona Warner. Oh, sorry. Marianne Grace Leahy Schumann of Colonia worked during the pandemic as a registered nurse at JFK Medical Center in the emergency room. Marianne, thank you for the amazing care you gave your patients during this trying time.
Natividad Monteclaro of Fords is a registered nurse at JFK Hardwick at Cedar Brook Nursing Home. Nanny is a registered nurse for over 30 years with JFK Hardwick Nursing Home. She works tirelessly caring for the residents and missed a month of work in April because she contracted COVID-19 and sadly lost her husband of 39 years to the virus. She continues her role as an exceptional nurse even after her loss. Nanny, your strength is so admirable, and we appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
John Correcchia of Fords is sadly being named twice today. John was an EMT with the Woodbridge Emergency Squad since May of 1993 and was serving as chief of Woodbridge Township Ambulance and Rescue Squad when he contracted coronavirus and passed. John was the epitome of a hero. He lost his life helping to protect those he served, and thousands of lives were saved during his career. Thank you, John, for all that you did during your career and life for others. You will be sorely missed. Benny Talati of Fords is a physical therapist at Ocean Medical Center in Brick. During the coronavirus pandemic, Benny worked in labor pool sterilizing equipment, checking in patients and doing other jobs to help take the load off of the nursing staff. Benny, your selflessness during the pandemic is so admirable. Thank you.
Christine Gonzalez of Island is a registered nurse at JFK Medical Center and with the Woodbridge Township School District. In the words of her husband, Jose, Chrissy worked every weekend as the nursing supervisor at JFK Center Edison during the pandemic while she still was working for her school, Indiana 18, during the week. Jose, good move complimenting your wife. That never hurts. She was faced with what most would call a war zone every day. She went to the medical center. She would often come home overwhelmed and upset by the events that she would encounter every day. She was at the hospital wishing she could have done more. She is truly our hero, and myself and my daughters are so proud of her every day. God bless her compassion and strength to help others in extremely difficult times. We love you. Congratulations, Christine. Melissa Smith of Fords is a registered nurse at JFK Hospital. During the pandemic, she worked tirelessly to help her patients. Thank you, Melissa, for your caring of your patients and putting them first. Thank you, Melissa.
Excel Urgent Care, located in Island in the near Jose Tejas. They provided testing for all township employees. In addition, they provided testing for all uninsured in the township of Woodbridge. So we appreciate them. We thank them. Thank you to Dr. Orlando and Lisa Rosario, the office manager. Thank you.
Colonia Cares. Come on up. Colonia Cares was created as a fundraiser by a group of Colonia High School students. They sold signs and shirts that read Colonia Cares, and with the proceeds, they bought gift cards from local businesses and distributed them to both our food banks and families in need. These are seniors that, well, they're seniors now, but they were juniors who could have taken all the time that they had to play video games or do other things, but instead this group of kids who could have been planning for their junior prom and all those fun things they should have been doing instead turned around and used their energy to help others. So these children should be really proud of themselves, and their parents should be incredibly proud of themselves. Thank you, Jack Riley, Harrison Brindley, Emily Christie, Jordak Durkak, Mia Cruzman, Carrie Lisha, Emily Melendez, Nate Mantegas, Victor Perosi, Antonio Pierce, Jose Rivera, and a special thank you to Colonia Cares Liaison Noreen Lishak. Thank you. And Mr. Panko, Vice Principal, is over there. Thank you. You should be very proud of these kids.
Woodbridge Cares. Partnering with the Colonia Cares Initiative, Woodbridge High School students started the Woodbridge Cares fundraiser and sold t-shirts and long signs to raise money to purchase gift cards from local restaurants, and donated those gift cards to the food pantries. Thank you, Leticia De Silva, Matt Dizek, Sophia Para, Jetta, I can't pronounce your last name, Jetta, I'm sorry, and Jake Vasquez for all of your hard work. Thank you also Principal Glenn Lotman and Vice Principal Panko. And everyone should be proud of all of our youth in Woodbridge Township. This is Jetta.
So panic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not Just Bagels, Sharon McAuliffe donated. She is not here today. She's under the weather. I guess if she's not working 80 hours a week, then she's not okay. But we all appreciate her. She donated masks and food to essential workers. Thank you, Sharon, for all that you do for our community.
Middlesex Water. Throughout the pandemic, Middlesex Water Company employees continued to be physically present at critical facilities, maintaining treatment plant operations and water quality, managing water distribution and wastewater collection infrastructure, all the while practicing appropriate social distancing and other precautionary measures. I'm also going to mention the Woodbridge Broncos. They had a day of giving, and the Woodbridge Broncos gave back to their two biggest sponsors, one being Not Just Bagels, Sharon. They gave $1,000 to one of their local businesses, and they gave another $1,000 to one of the hair salons, Trinity Hair Salon, and gave out 1,500 PPE masks. So I want to give a shout out to the E-Board from the Woodbridge Broncos.
Bernadette Solar from the water company. Let's give her a little shout out right there. She snuck up. Mark Lodato and Natalie Rivera worked for the Recreation Department in the kitchen. They not only made breakfast and lunch for essential workers around them, but they also helped their community during the pandemic. When companies wanted to donate food to the Woodbridge Food Pantry, they came to the rescue by offering up their kitchen equipment as a place to store the food. They also donated food to the local firehouses and first aid squads. Thank you, Mark and Natalie, for all your help during these trying times. Mark and Natalie.
Meals on Wheels volunteers, grocery shopped and delivered hot meals to homebound elderly. Sergio Diaz, John Grimeyer, Tiffany Morgan, Doreen Duffy, Debbie Calanta, Elizabeth Brown, Lester Dietz, Anna Falserano, Kathy Riley, David Rasmussen, Sue Rasmussen, Dawn George, Allison McGann, Nancy Adoda, and Akua Sarkodie.
Beth Schreier of Colonia demonstrated what being a good neighbor is all about during this pandemic. Beth went grocery shopping and did errands for many people that couldn't leave their homes. She is a beautiful person. Thank you for your kindness in helping take care of those who needed it the most.
Dawn Marquez and her staff at Woodbridge Applebee's. I know Dawn is here. She's the manager of the Woodbridge Applebee's at the mall. Provided lunch at the Woodbridge Elks Food Donation Drive. Thank you, Applebee's, for helping feed your community that helped feed the community. Thanks, Dawn. Dawn just said, thanks for helping me stay open. You know, a lot of these small businesses really dependent on our total help of the community and supporting them. All the local businesses really appreciate you buying local more than ever. It really is helping them get through. So thank you all very much for that important gesture that you did all the time, keeping it on your radar and shopping local. Thank you very much. Karen, the exalted ruler of, can't say your last name, so I'm going to skip over that. Sorry. And the Woodbridge Elks. Elks number 2116, Woodbridge Elks hosted a food drive that benefited our local food bank. Thank you to the Woodbridge Elks for this great event at a time when it was so desperately needed. You can come on up. Dawn was great. They entered into the nonprofit to the small business. Dawn was able to provide lunch for all the volunteers that came over. There were a lot of Elks volunteers that came that day, and the Elks continues to do everything that they can do for the community. I'm very honored to be a part of the Woodbridge Elks. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks, Karen. Next up, a good old friend of mine, Lois Griffin. Lois of Ford's made homemade masks, tons and tons of homemade masks whenever she was asked, for emergency responders. Thank you, Lois, for donating your time and skill to help protect those who protect us. I call her the mask maker, skilled mask maker. She was amazing. Her masks are beautiful, and she followed all of the protocols that you would have to in a healthcare environment. So we really appreciate your efforts and your skill set. Thank you.
Montessori School, donated food and snack bags to workers at JFK Hospital. Thank you, Natika Panday, Lauren Massarella, Ivanka Panday, Kian Panday, and Serenity Saisuski for your generosity to our frontline workers.
A great friend to Woodbridge Township and a personal friend of mine, Sean Murphy, Shell Oil. Shell Oil donated $5,000 to the We Feed program and 5,000 pairs of gloves to the Woodbridge Police Department. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
So many of you have heard the daily announcements we used to make. We did 7 days a week for many months, then we cut it down to 5, then we cut it down to 3, then to 2. Now we do it Mondays and Fridays. So way back in the beginning in March, somehow I started telling little jokes. And there was one day the joke was that, come on, Vinny, you love the jokes. It was that somebody broke into town hall overnight and stole all the toilet seats. And I asked the police director if they had any leads, and he said, no, we have nothing to go on. Now that was mildly funny, but several people thought it was serious, called town hall to ask about the heist. Somebody even called the News Tribune and reported it. And I am not kidding you, within an hour I got an email from Bob Macon of the News Tribune, and I couldn't quite, I know him fairly well, and he was asking about the case, and he was quoting some of what I said, and I couldn't quite tell if he was serious or not, or playing along with it or not. He was serious. People took this as literally as I said it, and you know, people can't wait to report us. You know, they can't wait to rat us out, let's face it. So they called the actual Home News Tribune, and they thought it was a real serious story. Then, a few weeks later, I said the same thug of thieves broke into the police parking garage and stole all the wheels from the police cars. And I said, don't worry, the police are working tirelessly to find them. And the same people called up and said, what's going on? Is this, you know, what's with the crime? And then the last one was a couple of weeks ago when I said that a school bus, not a school bus, a bus carrying prisoners collided with a cement mixing truck on Route 1 North in Avenel. And police said nobody was hurt, but they're looking for a group of hardened criminals. People called 911. They called the town to see if it was safe to go on Route 1. You did? You called? I can't believe you admitted it. Anyway, it's all in good fun. I'd like to thank the following companies, and we don't have proclamations for everybody. It's going to be a little crazy. If you want to wait around, we'll take your name and we'll get you one. The following companies donated PPE to either the township or one of our agencies. Sippersteins and Fords, Kmart, Sandeep Tanwar, Prashant Desai from Krausers, Rohit Patel from Indian Foods, Timothy J. Piazza Memorial Foundation, L'Oreal, Dunkin' Donuts, Visual Lease, Wawa and Fords, Chick-fil-A, Woodbridge Broncos, Amanda Kozub, Heather LaMotta's cousin, I don't know, we don't have a name, but thank you. BAPS Charities, Ashland Always Solving, Marty Genzer, Rich Hardish and Donna Estock from L'Oreal, Dira Amin, the president of the Indian Business Association, Erin from Pilot Chemical, Greg Gonzalez, Steve Belowski, Continental Hardware, Bell Ford, Calabarathi of New Jersey, Intone Networks, the Sean Patel Families, Blackthorn Restaurant and Irish Pub, Fennel Shah, Hindu Swayam Savak Sangh, Mahir Thakur of Hematology Oncology Care, Jen McGann and Alyssa Collins, Kishore Varith and Fennel Shah, Ashland John Devagilli, Plant Manager, Ray Dellerman of Post 87 American Legion, Greg Hernandez, and Hank from Avenel Pharmacy. Let's hear it for all of those who donated PPE.
The following folks have donated to We Feed Woodbridge: Will Schaefer, Wegmans, Vista Travel, Peter A. Scotia II and Colonia Pharmacy, Michael Matus and Anthony Shirley, who are two Woodbridge College students who organized the food drive with friends Vitak Patel, Kyle Heaney, Matthew Corcoran, Peter Oberton, Matthew Godlewski, and Nick Lipinski. Thank you to those young people. They're a great example of how good this community really is. Kaylee Skibar, SUA for Community, retired Lieutenant William McNamara, the owner of Sergeant Mack's Army, residents Bob and Arlene, Irene Conti and Investors Bank, PTO and the staff at Menlo Park Terrace, Pastor Leslie at the Metro Church in Island, and Brian Jacob is at Fusion Health Company. Thank you all.
Special mention to Kaylee Skibar, who actually donated her birthday proceeds to the cause. Thank you, Kaylee. The following donated food to essential workers: parents of Indiana Avenue School 18, Woodbridge Perth Amboy Rotary Club, Jim Nolan of Jim Nolan and Associates, Glenn Lotman, Principal, Woodbridge High School, Wawa Manager Kara Grabelny, Colonia High School PTOs 27, 22, 21, and 20, and Colonia Middle and Colonia High School, Phil Hull and the Independent Club of Colonia, Gourmet Exchange, Island teachers from JFK, Island Middle 18 and 26, the Spivak Legal Team, John Smith Subs from Colonia, Jesse Farina from Bahama Breeze in Woodbridge, and Christina Henry from Pino's Pizza. Let's hear for everyone who donated food. Girl Scout Troop 83506 donated care packages for the residents in Griner Towers in Colonia. Ava Maido, Alessia Teseo, Jenna Berard, Savannah Puerta, Juliana Wittick, Jayla Mineweather, Leah Tyler, Sophie Samos, Emily Esposito, and Marissa Varley. Thank you, girls. Residents Joe and Diane Farley and Ed McSherry, Deborah Hutchinson, the American Irish Association donated gift cards for local businesses and distributed them to our first aid squads. Thank you to the American Irish Association. The Woodbridge Perth Amboy Rotary, Elroy Darden, the president, purchased meals and cards for our township seniors. And the Downtown Merchants Association printed these large decal signs, which we posted all over Woodbridge Township. Ladies and gentlemen, when we stand up here and say we're the best town around, you each and every day go out and prove it. So many people did so many things for so many others in Woodbridge. Everybody who needed help in town got it. If people needed food, they called up. They needed just to talk to somebody, they called up. If they needed to get a ride for prescriptions, they just called up. And in many cases, the people who work for the town did a lot of the coverage, but in probably even more cases, members of the community did. You gave rides, you showed up, you picked up food, you dropped off food. You did so many things for the people of Woodbridge Township these last 6.5 months, I should say. And we really, really appreciate everything that you did. Again, we are the best town around because we have the best people around, because we have the best volunteers around. Thank you very much.